right, Joseph. What up, dude?
What's up, brother? Yeah.
Thanks for, I know, right? Thanks for coming to do the first Music Mentor, man. Mentor series, where we're just kind of honoring what, where you've been, where you are, and where you're going, and kind of trying to dive into what, how it kind of happened for you, as far as like, who you thought were your music mentors, and like how they, kind of left a mark on you, and then kind of, like you said, like before we started filming, like left that seed, kind of left that, like, hey.
Yeah, like that ray of light.
Exactly, yeah, that ray of light, exactly. Exactly.
I would say I'm here now because of the beginning, obviously.
Yeah.
And the beginning for me is, we alluded to earlier, the beginning for me is church.
Yeah.
For sure.
Hearing, yeah, I feel that, dude.
Yeah, the beginning for me is church, man. When I started, I guess I want to say that ray of light of music.
Yeah.
Was gospel music for sure. We had talked about like the memory of music, your first memory.
Yeah, your first musical memory. Yeah.
Yeah, it would be gospel music, man.
Wow.
My family was real heavy in the church.
Nice.
Everyone I knew was real heavy in the church. So the days where I would say my first musical memory were the days where my mother would. Nowadays you can't do this, but my parents would go in the grocery store and leave us in the car.
Right, totally.
Crack the windows.
Crack the window. Yeah.
Me and my brothers just hanging out in the car, man. At that point, all you could do was put in the cassette tape and play gospel music. What I knew. I didn't know any other type of music except gospel. So Fred Hammond, Kirk Franklin, John P. Key. You probably don't know any of those.
No, I don't. I actually don't. Yeah, I don't know anything.
Yeah, you used to pop the cassette in, just side A, side B, and just be jamming out when I was grocery shopping. And then also in Indianapolis, Indiana, we had a radio station called 1310 The Light. And they played nothing but gospel. So I used to be an aspiring choir director. I used to be an aspiring preacher. So as a kid. So I'll just be there on 1310 The Light, and every time a gospel song came on, I'd just be in my room rocking out to gospel. As a kid.
Just vibing with it, like connect, or true connection. Wow.
So that's where it started for me. Sure.
Indiana, wow, that's so cool. It's like getting the dial and like knowing where, bam, just like hitting it from either left or right side, and like kind of getting that sweet spot where you're like, okay, all right, what's the weather looking like?
Cool. Let's vibe out to some gospel.
Yeah.
That's how it used to be.
Wow.
And then be at church and vibe out to gospel again, because the youth to be able to see the choir and whatnot.
Right.
I joined the youth choir as well.
Oh wow.
As a kid, so
wow.
Yeah, so that's where it all started, and I don't think I'm ever going to leave that part out when anybody asks me how it started.
Yeah. Kind of how I view that is like that's your pillar. That's three. That's one out of four of the pillars. You're adding more. It's you're beefing it up. So I almost think about like the Parthenon or something. It's like just because you got four pillars doesn't mean you can't add a bunch more to strengthen your that foundational truth of like how you're coming up through gospel, and like something about the Spirit moving through words where it's like it's how you spell it, right? It's how the sentence, what you're saying throughout that, like that bar, like you said, like, okay, well, what does that bar mean?
Right.
How does it interface with your soul? Like, what, what's the so what? Who cares? Who gives a damn? Like, what does it matter?
Exactly.
And if you feel that, that's what you're tuning in. You're literally trying to, kind of like try to fixate on the Spirit.
Get that right station.
Yeah, exactly. Gotta be on the right station.
I never even thought of it like that. That's awesome.
When it's like in you, it's like it's something that, your musical barometer, where it's like, you're learning all these things and through gospel and time signatures, things that we don't even know about that are happening in music before, Like we're just feeling it.
Exactly.
So it has to come from, you know, like yourself as a music mentor and an artist. You know, what are some of the ways that you learned, like in that gospel setting, like you said, through the choir? Like, were you in the front so you could hear everybody in the notes, or were you kind of in the middle, or did you do like bass or tenor?
Well, as a kid, you know, we went to a church called Apostolic Faith.
Yeah.
That was a church that we frequent a lot, and I remember joining the youth choir. It was a very small stint, though. It wasn't very long.
Yeah.
So prior to joining the youth choir, I always try to make sure I had like the front row, you know, in the pews.
Nice. Yeah.
So that I could just be. My mother had married my brother's dad, and he was a minister, and he had a lineage of like. Long lineage of people in his family being within the church. So so let's just keep it simple. My mother's husband at the time, he was a minister. His brother was a minister. His brother was a minister. His other brother was a drummer. And his other brother was a singer. And his other brother was a choir director. And I was always exposed to that. So when his brother was down there playing the drums, he used to always love to have front row seat. When the choir was singing, I always had front row seat. And then when I got into the youth choir, still a kid,
right.
You know, obviously I was a tenor, you know, in the youth choir.
Totally.
Like I said, I don't have really too much memory of that. We kind of actually faded away from me being in the youth choir, and the choir stuff didn't really start really being prominent in my life until I got older, until I got of age. In Indianapolis, when I was 17. I had like a paradigm shift in my life, and I would like to say between the ages of like 13, like 12, 17.
Okay.
You know,
yeah, 12 to 17.
I was an aspiring knucklehead. You know, I wanted to be with the people who I thought loved me.
Yeah.
And that was the people out on the streets. But then I had an epiphany when I was 17. I was like, I gotta stop. You know, my mother had kicked me out for the last time, and I said, I can't do this. I have to make a change. Pull it up my pants, put a belt on, wore shirts that fit me, changed my vernacular, started to curse words out.
Yeah, I noticed that about you. Like your word usage as an artist, you know. And as you mentor other people through, you know, really the spell or the spelling, the lyrical analysis of how you manifest the art.
Yeah.
Almost like a physical thing is very true. You know, there's very little cussing. It's purposefully driven, and you know, it's like having an arrow, and then it's like that head of the arrow is super sharp. Yeah. That's the best part of it because it needs to penetrate the soul. It needs to get there.
Yeah, I think that's where that. I'm glad you mentioned that actually. But yeah, that's where we're literally talking about how it just starts. And when I was 17, you know, because during that time where I was in the so-called streets or hanging out with people that I shouldn't be hanging out with, that's when I discovered rap.
Okay.
That's when I discovered, there's more than gospel. There's
that transition from gospel to rap. You're like, wow.
Like, okay. So there's gospel, there's the spirit, and then there's also this other thing over here. Yeah. There's Lil Wayne, there's Snoop Dogg, there's Tupac, there's Dr. Dre, there's oh my God, what am I listening to? There's Kanye, there's what is this? And then you start hanging out with people in school who do that as well. Yeah. And next thing I know, I'm a freshman in high school, and I'm in a rap group in high school called Streetwise. Oh damn! Believe it or not, like wow, that's cool. You just got some footage. So yeah, I used to be in a rap group called Streetwise. I actually used to get on the internet and paint. And I would make flyers, not flyers, but logos of Streetwise. I remember I made one that was real specific to me, and I used to have it in a frame. Yeah. And it meant a lot to me then. But you know, and that was when I would battle rap and, you know, talk about the stuff that I did
Yeah.
Whether I robbed someone, whether I got in a fight, whether I was smoking. Those are the things I talked about. Gambling, those things I rapped about.
Yeah.
But then when I had that, as I digress, is when I had that epiphany at 17.
Right.
Like, yo, I gotta change.
Yeah.
That's when the pull of the pants come up. That's when the wearing clothes that fit. That's when I'm not having sex no more. That's when I'm not hanging out with the people who smoke cigarettes. That's when I throw the cigarettes away. That's when I stopped smoking weed. I stopped cursing. Everything, all of it stopped. But I was like, but the music was constant.
Yeah,
Does that make
you feel
sense?
you feel that dip away, and then but you feel that it's constant.
So I stopped what I thought was bad.
Yeah.
What people say is bad.
Right.
And now I'm like in this. Now I'm in the void.
Yeah.
In
the space in between.
Yeah. And now I'm like,
yeah.
Wait a minute, but I still want to write.
Right.
I still want to rap. Even though I'm not cursing anymore, I still want to rap.
Yeah.
Even though I'm not. Even because now when I turned 17, I started going back to church as well.
Oh, so, cool.
Because my parents and everything, that we started veering away from the church.
Okay.
So then when my mother kicked me out and I'm doing things on my own now,
right,
I get back into the church because I was so lost. So I got back into the church. I'm like, you know what, time to be faithful. We're trying to do this. Got baptized again.
Nice.
I was baptized when I was a kid, and I got baptized at 17 one more time.
Yeah.
And
same here.
Yeah. So now I'm like, well, even though I'm not talking about these things, I still have the urge to do music.
Right.
I still have the urge to rap. So I'm in church trying to be in the choir.
Yeah.
But when I get out of church, I still want to rap. So I'm like, man, I gotta stop saying the N-word. I gotta stop saying the F-word. I gotta stop saying the bitch. You know, I gotta stop doing this.
Vulgarities that
can't talk about sex anymore.
Sarcasm.
So I'm like, how do I continue to be myself, but also be what God wants me to be? That was my question at 17.
Ooh, that's deep, man. That's usually where it kind of starts. You know, sometimes it's got a delay there, or it comes early. You know, but it's like that duality of like, oh man, it's like Star Wars or something. It's like you got boring, stuff at the top of it, 12 o'clock. You know, that 11th hour. You know, it kind of you've been through all the shit, and you're like, man, this is real. And how do you justify sharing that realness? It's like, well, you put it to use. You give it a job. You don't let it be lazy on you, because then the lesson comes up again. You're like, why am I going through this again?
Yeah.
Like, so that's huge, man. Like, I don't know, Jay. Like, I think that's the toughest thing is like, those transitions from like what you said from gospel to rap. Like, how can you incorporate the thing? I mean, so it's
from in the church to in the streets.
Right.
It's like
honoring both, or do you just credit one or the other? Is it unique to every lyric or every bar? And every song.
I want to be transparent that moment where I had that question, it wasn't a difficult question. It wasn't a difficult answer. It wasn't like I was pacing back and forth in my room like, oh my God, what am I going to write about?
Right. I totally felt that. Like when you were speaking about that, like I was like, oh man, it's almost like like in church, like it's a still small voice is what the Spirit is described as. It ain't going to yell at you, man.
Yeah,
it's not going to yell. It's going to whisper. If anything, it's going to whisper softer than anything you've ever experienced. And so I actually felt the realistic nature in which you were describing it. I felt that it wasn't, exactly like you said, that it wasn't a big it was a big thing, but I was too young for it to be anything bigger. Right. I was too young for it to have me pacing in my room like, oh my God, what do I do? I was too young to be laying in my room like, oh my God, man, I got these goals, I got these dreams. I've always aspired, like I said, when I was a kid, I wanted to be a choir director. I've always saw myself bigger. Yeah. So, but it's like, man, now that I got baptized, now that I believe in God, now that I'm telling my friends to go to church and they're telling me no, like I don't want to go to church, I don't believe in God. I don't want to. Now that I have a cross on my neck, and it's like, man, where am I supposed to go with this dream, God? Like I know
too many things. I know how to read the Bible. I also know how to read people. You know, I also, you know, I can be abstinent, and I can also fuck everything walking.
Right.
You know, I can.
The duality is
who am I? So, but again, it wasn't that strong at that point, you know.
Yeah.
Until, you know, I made a conscious decision to move out to Colorado.
Wow.
And I moved out here when I was 18.
Yeah.
And I never forget, you know, I'm the oldest out of 4. Not many people know that, you know, because I've been out here by myself.
Yeah.
Not many people know I'm the oldest out of 4. And I didn't tell my mother when I left.
Mm-hmm.
I just told my brothers and my sister. My middle brother said, "Hey, when you leave, man, go rap. Go do your music." I said, "Say less. I'm not gonna do that." So I came out here trying to do that.
Wow.
And well, at least it was just in my head. Made sure, like, hey, keep writing.
Yeah. And that's one of the things I really admired. Like you're giving proof. You're giving evidence of artistry. For your social media. You know, there's over 30 composition books, all different colors, all, you know, pages, single pages, and just going through those. Like I collect these guitar strings, and I just wanted to know. I was like, where am I at, man? Who the heck am I? Like, what does this matter? Like I said, like, so what's this? So what? Who cares? Who gives a damn? Like, and you know that word "damn." It's like, it's the barriers. Like when someone says "God damn it," it's like they're actually saying, I am blocking deity because of my cognitive dissonance. I'm not ready to be spiritual because I can't think spiritual. I can't feel, you know. So it's like, man, to be damned. Like, I'll be damned. You know, when people say I'll be damned, well, I'll be damned. They're shocked into the knowledge that they receive, and it's kind of like maybe they knew that, but it's hitting them hard right now, and they're just like, that's a lot of paper, that's a lot of due diligence, that's a lot of heart, that's a lot of soul that you can't get back. It's spent, it's earned, you know. And like those, like I'll never forget this on my channel. I uploaded this from KRS-One, and he talked about he said never sell your lyrics, because it's like it's part of your soul, and you're selling your soul. And so those lyrics are from your soul. Like, don't you know? And I'll have to send it to you, man. It shocked me. He was one of my music mentors, like early. I'm kind of actually getting shivers right here. I just right along my head and the back of my neck, because it shocked me. It spiritually shocked me, but it you know, it was physical. It was from spiritual to physical, and he just talked about you know, that what I said about the spell or the spelling. Like, you're actually invoking words, you're bringing them to life, and you're you know, it's very godly. It's akin to, you know, it's a creational thing that we're doing. So it's like, it's sacred.
Yeah.
And
tell me about it.
You know, and like that's well, and Elvis him going to gospel, like he had to go through all this crap storm, you know, like basically be a puppet for all, you know, MCA and you know, I think he cut a few through chess, and you know, all these record labels, and he was, you know, pushed out there on the stage, and he had to really regress back into himself, and then he went to gospel, you know, his first love, you know, coming up through that and going back to it, like full circle, you know, that the Hero of a Thousand Faces by Joseph Campbell, that he kind of talks about in that book. You know, like I said with Star Wars, like Luke had to go through that, and it's like, you know, that's not my father, you know, and then realizing, oh my gosh, that's the dark side, and it's in me too. That's my dad. That's my dad, and he's gonna cut off my own arm. And like, sometimes you have to do that for your kids, but you know, it's like, it's more spiritual, or you know, like take something from them that is hurting them in the moment, but is gonna feed them later from the absence of that. You know, that, you know, what we think, you know, like that 16 going into 17 thing, what you really think is the be all end all, and then when that quiet, still, small voiced epiphany kind of comes in, and plain as day.
Yeah.
And it's the quietest whisper you've ever heard, and you don't know what to do with that, so you just gotta shut up and sit with it. And you know, it's you know, being immersed in it. And why is it water? Why do you know?
Exactly.
You've seen that video that's going around at home, dude, and he's like, is God water? And he's talking about all these things. Why do we, you know, why isn't it just, you know, just a little bit of water? Why do we have to be totally immersed to be baptized? You know?
Man.
You know, and Lenny Kravitz actually has an album called Baptized, and it's like, baptized in you. You know, and it talks about loneliness and emptiness, you know, far away from that. So it's like this journey, you know. And,
yeah.
What was it like to if you're driving from Indianapolis, Indiana, and you're coming out to you went like pretty much?
I was flying.
Oh, you're flying.
Yeah.
Okay.
First time ever on a plane.
Wow.
First time. Yeah. I used to hate planes. I used to never want to be able to
Yeah. They're kind of freaky.
Yeah.
You know.
First time.
Yeah.
What was your question? What was it like?
Yeah, like, did you have any thoughts kind of coming out there? Like, because you had that still small voice, like you had that epiphany at 17, and then you said you turned 18, and then you came out here, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, our relationships where I was from weren't salvageable at all. Mm-hmm. There was nothing. The only way they could be salvaged was for me to go backwards. Yeah. And
wow.
So I realized that, you know, I realized the disconnection was between my mother and I. Mm. What my mother could not give, I wanted to get elsewhere.
Yeah.
So the last time she actually kicked me out, I was 17. Yeah. When I changed my life, I called her and moved back in.
Wow.
So now I'm a different man. I got a job. I'm not hanging out with knuckleheads. I'm bringing groceries in the house.
She could see that. She could feel that energy change.
I don't. Yeah, but I don't think she was really accepting to it at all. I don't think she accepted. I think it was hard for her. Yeah. My father was a church guy too. I just left that part out. My dad, he's not really a father. I don't really know him that much, but he was in the church as well. You know, that's where my mother and father met. You know, he's a pianist actually.
Oh, okay.
You don't really know that. My father's an excellent pianist.
Wow.
And plays the organ, piano, keyboard, whatever has keys on it. He's that. He could probably actually play a set of keys like on your keychain. Like he could play those probably and make music. So, you know, when I did that shift, and I'm living with my mom now. Again, I didn't really get from her what I felt I needed to be getting. So it would be small stints where I would still go out, you know. I wouldn't go out and rob people or do anything crazy anymore, but, you know, like for instance, I turned 18. I mean, I'm 18 now. This is the time you can buy cigarettes at 18.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm like, you know what? I'm 18, I want to go buy me a pack of Black & Milds. Yeah. Buy me a 6-pack of Miller High Life. I never forget, Black & Mild, 6 packs of Miller High Life. And I think I got some vodka, and you know, I went and slept with somebody, you know. So I'm still this God-fearing person, but I'm still like veering into that other side, you know, the dark side. So anyways, long story short, my mother decided to leave. She decided to we used to take these trips, because I'm from Indianapolis, Indiana. I always rep Indianapolis, Indiana, but we were born in Ohio. I was born in Ohio.
Okay, yeah.
So we left Ohio when I was in the 4th grade, Indiana. So from the 4th grade up is Indiana for me. Yeah. So, but we would take trips back to visit our family. It's like a 5-hour drive. Yeah. My mother could drive her ass off, so it would be like 4 hours for her.
Her old stomping ground. Yeah, I kind of get there at night.
But at this point now, I'm 18. I'm technically a grown up.
Yeah.
So my mother, for the first time in life, asked me if I wanted to go. Hey, do you want to go to Ohio? I'm like, no. And I think that kind of hurt her feelings. She thought that I didn't want to be a part of the family, when really I was a changed man, and I felt like my mother was trying to get credit for that.
Ooh, that's deep, man.
For all the turmoil and the pain and occasion she had caused me. Let's not get this misconstrued. My mother gave us a house. I mean, she gave us a roof, food, and bed.
Yeah.
But there were things that were missing. We can't negate that. I understand you had to do what you had to do as a mother.
Right.
But there were things that were missing. So when she asked me if I wanted to go, I said, no, I don't. No, because I feel like you're going to, in my head, I'm like, I thought you were trying to get credit for my change. And what you did to me and how you did it to me and how bad I was in high school and how much of a terrible son I was. And then now I'm this different person. And I didn't want her getting that credit, because what we were going to do was going to go back to Ohio and everybody